Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to MangaPod. We're a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week we are talking Yotsuba, chapters 1 through 27. I am Erin, a happily Erin, your host, and with me are my two lovely co-hosts. So let's have everybody go around and introduce themselves, please.
Hello everybody. I'm Dodger of Happily Dodger, and very excited to talk about Yotsubato.
Nailed it.
That's
That
it.
was some good
My name's
pronunciation. I like it.
My name's Lou, and I'm from Lou Talks Anime, and I'm also excited to talk about Yotsubato.
Yeah.
Yotsubato.
Yotsubato.
Because I just
Yotsuba.
said Yotsuba.
To.
To. You're like my baby. My baby does that. We'll go wah 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 wah, and we'll give it to her, and then she'll just fucking blow bubbles in it.
Elliot's been doing this snarl thing, and so he'll just look at you and go, like he's got his little baby teeth, and he's
Good.
just like, no matter how much food is in his mouth, it's just always.
He's asserting dominance.
Yeah. He's showing his teeth.
So happily
Primal.
too at the same time. If you guys have never joined us for a manga pod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read. Then we'll give you our spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you should spend time going to read this manga or not. That way, if it sounds like something you are interested in, you can take your leave once we get to spoiler section. We do ask that nobody post any spoilers for anything until we get to spoiler section. After that, please don't post any spoilers for anything past chapter 27. Yotsubato is kind of a hard one to really spoil. It's a little bit different, but we still ask that you guys stick to the rules, please.
Yes.
So I am going to read the description for Yotsuba. Okay. Yotsuba's daily life is full of adventure. She is energetic, curious, and a bit odd. Odd enough to be called strange by her father, as well as ignorant of many things that even a 5-year-old should know. Because of this, the most ordinary experience can become an adventure for her. As the days progress, she makes new friends and shows those around her that every day can be enjoyable.
Yes.
Super fucking precious.
Yes.
Spoiler recommendations.
Me.
Hit it.
It's so cute. I love it so much. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. I highly recommend it. It's just very, very sweet. The humor is perfect. And you really believe that the main character is a little kid. Like it's constructed so well. I love it. It's the same way that when we read Sweetness and Lightning, we were like, God, she's such a believable little kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt reading Yotsubato. Like, oh my God, this is such a child and it's so precious. And I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. It was one that we were talking about this before the show, that a lot of times we'll read these like comedy manga that are just one-offs and there's no real overarching story. It's just the daily lives. And sometimes they can get very repetitive, but this was, I think, the first one that I'd ever read that I was like, I could totally read 50 more chapters of this and not feel bored at all. Yeah. The humor was just so cute and pure, but still like really witty. And I really enjoyed the characters, even though, like I said, they're not in this like huge character development plot thing going on, but they're still really fleshed out. And I agree with Yotsuba agree with Dodger.
Yes.
That Yotsuba feels like a very genuine child character. And I don't know if it's just because I have a 4-year-old that is very similar. Right. So if I just connected to it more, but I think anybody will go in reading this manga. Just if you need something wholesome and sweet, this is one that you should definitely check out.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to repeat what you guys said. This manga is a great read. And as someone that has kids, like, this is a very believable child. Some of the crazy nonsense that they pull out of nowhere kind of blindsides you. So, yeah, this is a very real take on what it's like to raise a child. I like it's a very fast read as well. So
Very.
in addition to having some like really well structured jokes and believable characters, um, it just is easily consumable. Like I read the 4 volumes in like maybe an hour
Mm-hmm.
of like actual dedicated reading, and like I think it's the whole thing is 20 volumes long, and I think I could kill the whole thing in an afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, and it's worth taking the time, not that much time, but it is worth taking the time to read, so highly recommend it.
Yeah. And if anybody who's read Azumanga Daioh, it is by the same mangaka. So it has very similar humor to that and characters.
You can tell the second you pop it open, you're like,
Oh,
oh.
yeah.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, I know who wrote this.
Yeah.
100%. So, yep. So there you go. We all recommend that you guys go and check it out. So we're now going to jump into spoiler section. Once again, if you don't want to be spoiled for anything, go ahead and take your leave. If you don't care about spoilers, or if you've already read it and you want to hang out with us in spoiler section, please don't post any spoilers past chapter 27. So let's go ahead and do it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yotsuba's God.
Is God.
Yotsuba's God. Pure.
I mean,
pure
like
God.
any parent will tell you, a child at that age believes they are God.
Yes.
They believe that they command. Because when they're a little younger, the parent is God, right? When
Right.
they're a little older, it's
They
someone
are
else.
God.
Yes.
But when they hit like that, between the ages of 4 to 6, they make the rules, and you're expected to follow them.
Yep. Yeah.
Look forward to that, Dodger.
I can't wait.
She got a taste of that with Kaylee this week. She was back. She saw
Oh
Kaylee
my
for
God.
like 2 minutes.
I saw her for literally a second. I walked in. I said, "Hi, sweetie. It's so good to see you." Gave her a hug. She ran over to her play area and she goes, "I'm going to dance now. Someone needs to move this." And like gestured to her own toys. And I was like, all right, I'll be sure to pass that on to someone else.
Somebody else. She wears that Elsa dress. She has an Elsa dress that she got because we went to Disney on Ice. She wears that now. Her thing is every night she will dance for like half an hour. And every single time she walks in. Here, let me show you how she walks in. She walks in like this. And so she'll walk in like that and then go, play the music as I walk. And so we play the music. She'll dance for the whole song nonstop. Just dances, does like cartwheels, all of that. The song ends and she walks off the same way. And if the next song starts playing, she'll turn around and go like, "You need to pause it for me." She like goes back and then immediately says, "All right, start playing it." And it just starts again. I'm like, oh my gosh, she will not. She just commands the room. She's a 4-year-old, 100%.
She's always kind of been a bossy character.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we visited in February and her big thing was everybody's taking a nap now.
Yes.
We were like, I don't want to take a nap right now. And she'd be like, "It's time for you to take a nap," and then go turn off all the lights. And David would be like, "We need the lights on, Kaylee." And she was like, "No, everybody has to take a nap."
She's like, "It's nap time. I'm the teacher. Go to sleep.
Oh
Go
my
to sleep."
God. It made me laugh so hard. And then I think like only a week after I had been hanging out with you, you sent me a picture of you in her bed, like, "It's my nap time."
And she was like looking over my shoulder like,
Yeah, like, "Are you asleep, mama?"
she's like, "Do I need to take your phone?" She asked me if she needed to take my phone from me.
Amazing. Anyways.
So that's the realism
Kaylee's a
of
gift.
Yotsuba.
Yeah. She's precious. So that's how it is, very realistic. Just going in. Okay, let's do initial thoughts going in. Had anybody read or anything about this before? No. Okay.
I'd
Thoughts
heard
going
about
in.
it. I think it was Arcata that had always pitched it as something that was really good and worth reading. And I'd seen Azumanga Daioh, and I've read Azumanga Daioh.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been aware of Yotsuba as something that I have to read. And in terms of like someone specifically telling me to go out of my way to read it outside of just the internet. It was my daughter. So one day I took her to the library and she found a little section of manga. This is the manga that got her into reading manga.
Aw.
So she found a
That's very
volume of
cute.
Yotsuba. I knew that it was safe for her to read. So I said, okay, sit down and read that. So she went through like 2 volumes and she's like, Dad, this is great. You have to read this. So I immediately ordered the first 4 volumes on manga or on Amazon. And now that she's done with them, she let me use them. It was great. So I
Aw.
got to read the actual physical mangas.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah.
cute.
That's very cute. I think someone else in chat was saying that Yotsuba was like their first manga.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw
Love
it.
it.
And somebody else saying they got it at a Scholastic book fair, which I
That's so cute.
love.
I love that. Manga at a Scholastic book fair. Oh my god.
Yeah,
We
when
were born in the wrong
I
generation.
was just thinking that. I
Yes.
was like, that never would have happened in mine. I'm so jealous.
I love it.
That's sweet. It's so, yeah, it's so pure and so accessible. And like, I kind of knew, like, everybody who's brought it up before has totally said that same thing, like, echoed those sentiments. And so that's what I was expecting going in. I didn't expect it to, kind of like what I was saying earlier. I knew it was a bunch of like slice of life stories that had the characters, but no overarching any really. And so I was like, oh man, we don't have a lot of luck with those on MangaPod. Not that we don't enjoy them. It's just they're hard to consume in big old chunks.
Yeah.
And
It
so
tends to feel very samey after a while.
yeah, and so I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of one Kokuri-san, I think was one
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that was the same where we all really liked it, but we just knew like reading it in big chunks was like hard. I was very hesitant about that going in, where I was like, oh no, it's gonna drag because it's gonna be so repetitive, and it wasn't that way
No.
at all.
Mhm.
And I think that's 100% down to Yotsuba's like how Yotsuba is written, because they're all very they're goofs that could be obvious, but because of Yotsuba, they wind up landing in a way where it's really funny.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like just it's just done so well. Like these varying ages of people and how they deal with her. To like answer the question for me of what I was expecting, I thought it was going to be one of those manga that's like, oh, we're in a small country town and it's all wholesome and everybody's lived there their whole lives, and Yotsuba is like the goof 'em up child, right? That everybody knows, oh, that's Yotsuba. Like that's kind of what I was expecting, and I don't know why. I don't know where I got that idea. But the fact that it wound up being like, this is Yotsuba and her adoptive dad, I guess. And they're moving to a city with new neighbors, and she's a big old weirdo, and everybody's like slowly learning how big of a weirdo she is. I loved that.
yeah,
I just thought it was so funny. Like all of the different characters, how they interacted with her was so distinct and specific. Great.
yeah.
Dodger, you brought up the fact that she was adopted. So how
Yes.
did you guys feel when you heard that she was an orphan, and how people reacted to her finding out that she was an orphan?
Like, how do you mean?
So like they didn't know.
Like how they were like, oh, it's just a joke, and everyone was like, it's not a joke, like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought, I actually thought the way that they did the humor revolving that was kind of funny. Because like they would do the whole like, oh, it's a joke, right? It's a joke. I do tell jokes sometimes. Yeah, it was a good joke, but this isn't a joke. And then the dad being like, oh yeah, he tells a lot of jokes. Oh right, because it is a joke. No, it's not a joke.
Yeah, that was really good.
I thought that stuff was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because like it kind of drove home that everybody that knows her and knows them and has known them for a long time is just like, yeah, that's the situation, and they love each other, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
like from their perspective, it's just like, this is life now, and we love each other, and this is our family, and that's it. Right. And the people next door are like, what?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, especially in Japan, right, that would be such a bizarre situation. Yeah.
Yeah, like a bizarre family dynamic and
Yeah,
like
to say,
family
like,
combination.
Here's this young guy who went somewhere and found a child and took it home. Like that's the way it's pitched, basically. And everyone's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Because I was wondering. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say I was very much waiting for that reveal because it's like, all right, is she like his daughter and her mom passed away, or like he looks really young? Like, what's the story gonna be about that? And so I really liked that, the way that they presented it and how they kept it with the humor, like Dodger said, and didn't make it like, I'm trying to think. It was important, but it wasn't vital, I guess. Like, really, like it just added to the like wholesomeness of the story. Yeah, so I like really liked how they presented it. I'm interested to see if they explore it more. I feel like they might. Like, there's 140 chapters, I think, total. So I feel like they're gonna go back and maybe touch on it again. So I'd be interested to see what else they do bring up with it. But I thought it was really sweet. Funny how they did it. What about you, Lou?
I thought the humor made it so the reveal was palatable. You know, but like the fact itself is still, it makes you wonder how they got to these dynamics. So like we've pitched this as a manga that is a bunch of loosely connected stories, right? And I feel like there's some foundation there that is going to be built up upon, and a lot of it's going to be rooted on how Yotsuba came into this guy's life. So like that's what I'm looking for, because I feel like the humor is great, but one thing that I think is this manga will be capable of is a strong emotional payoff because of how well you connect with the characters.
Right.
And I think even like going to the dad and Yotsuba and their past, I'm interested in like his story, like what his past and like growing up would be.
For sure.
Almost more than I am like Yotsuba, because Yotsuba, we have her, like she's a young character. She doesn't necessarily have a ton of like stuff. Obviously, she's an orphan, but with him, like it's a completely different thing for him as an adult, like a young guy, to adopt a child that he met wherever they met. And so, and he's like a good dad. Like there's a point in there when I was reading it where like when it was revealed that he was her adoptive dad and not actual, I was like, it shocked me a little bit. Like I honestly believe genuinely that like he was her blood dad, and I love the fact that it was that it ended up being that he was the adopted dad, because I was like, that is just as strong of a bond. It was so sweet. I loved that he ended up being that.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like there's any distance between them at all. Like he is her best friend, you know? Yes. And it's so sweet. And the mangaka definitely went out of their way to make him seem kind of young and like he doesn't have it all together, but like that's kind of part of the charm of their interactions, right? I think like some of the goofs totally rely on other people in the scene being like, what's going on right now, right? Because he's so young and goofy, and he like enjoys that dynamic with her. You know, so even though he's constantly like, yeah, my daughter, she's a big old weirdo, the more you read, the more you're like, yeah, that's your fault. You are literally exactly the same, right? Yeah. I think that's so cute.
One thing about that, though, is normally you would expect in a story where the parent is kind of a screw up, that the child would be like more mature and taking care of the household.
Yeah.
This is not the case in this manga.
No, not at all.
I do love that there's times where it shows how young he is, where he's like, yeah, she's out wandering about. And then there's times where he like goes into dad mode, where they're at like the supermarket and he's like, all right, you stay here. Wait, no, that's not gonna work. He's like, I can't just leave you at the supermarket.
Yeah.
And he like does the responsible thing of like, all right, we gotta put all of our food back. So he just has the moments of being like the mature dad too, but he's just so silly overall, which is
One scene that I loved was her going through the book of animals, and the way that he would tell her if they were dangerous or not is he would bite her face. And I was like, that's so cute. Like, because when you're a parent, you really do, and I mean, mine's not that old, but like, you really do try to find ways to make learning about stuff fun. And it feels like there were a few different parts that we read where it was him being like, how can I explain this to her in a way that's fun for both of us, you know?
Yeah. He's like one of the best parents of any anime and manga ever. He's like one of the most responsible, I feel like, and stable and healthy relationship.
Yeah. And I like that, at least so far in what we read, right? There hasn't really been any kind of a focus on like, we need to get him a wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And
like that hasn't been a thing, which I like.
There was a few moments where like, since his neighbors are all women, I was like, oh man, it's going to totally like, I think they're high schoolers. Sometimes like, I don't even know. They're not ever in school uniforms.
I don't know. Hold on. All right. So I know this. So the oldest sister, so the mom is married. So that's one.
Right.
The oldest sister is in college, but Jumbo is crushing on her.
Right. Yes.
And then the middle sister, Fuka, is 16.
Okay.
And then the youngest sister, that one I don't know her age, but I would imagine that she's
like 12?
Upper elementary.
A little bit older than Yotsuba.
Like 9 or 10.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But maybe older than that? I don't know.
Yeah. I think she's like 9 or 10. That's how it feels like presented with like all the characters. And like that's the thing. Not even just with like Yotsuba, like the other characters feel their age too. And so yeah, like when you find out, I think we're just like, we don't know how to deal with such pure wholesome fluff. When you're like, all right, here's living next to all these girls. It's just like the fan service that could come out of it, or the like pushing them together. And there's like none of that.
None of it.
Yeah, you have Jumbo crushing on the oldest sister, but even that's very minimal. And like they do that in a really funny way where it's like, why do you keep trusting Yotsuba to like communicate correctly?
Yeah, he always tries to use Yotsuba as like the middleman because he's shy about it. Like when when he first met her, and he was like, she was like, is it hard to find clothes? And he's like, no, because I like to be naked too. And she walked away and he goes, did I say anything weird? No, you're fine, dude.
The part where Yotsuba drew Jumbo and like
it looks like a crime scene. I love it.
So cute. But yeah, so like it's pretty refreshing to not have that forced like she needs to have a mom as well. Like it's just people are supportive and like accept that is the dynamic. Once they get past the like, what? This is kind of strange. Oh wait, no, it works. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cute.
I love that it's kind of a found family thing too. And that like they move into a neighborhood and their neighbors are literally right next door, and eventually becomes Yotsuba's like, I really wanted ice cream, so I went over to the neighbors and just went into their fridge and got some.
Yeah, the I keep wanting to say episode. The chapter that started off with the other like kind of 10-year-old girl coming over, and she was like, hello, can I get you some tea? Would you like cake? Like keeps leaving the room. They're like, she doesn't live here.
I think that same thing happened when Fuka like had her heart broken and she like goes home and Yotsuba's like, come in. And she's like, this is my house. That was a really good goof. I really liked the chapters and the follow through of the goof of like, she's like, Yotsuba, don't tell anybody. And then Yotsuba goes around and tells literally everybody.
Literally everyone.
She publishes a
hilarious ways.
newspaper.
And then she publishes the newspaper.
And then she's like, wait, everybody, it's a secret.
Don't tell her.
Mhm.
Then she takes all the newspapers back.
Yeah, to that point, I liked how often we had kind of parallels of like both the neighbors and Yotsuba's house would be talking about the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we would see this family that was very nuclear and like got the mom, maybe the dad, and a bunch of daughters, right? And then you would pan over to the house next door and it was Yotsuba, Jumbo, and her dad. They would be like talking about the same kind of thing, but just like showcasing like what you normally think of as a family and another totally valid family that's next door but is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Who was your favorite of the sisters?
Fuka.
That family. Fuka.
Yeah.
I love Fuka.
She like, I loved all of the jokes at her expense. Poor thing. Like, I'm actually a very good artist, and everyone going, she's bad. or like when her sister got back and had a t-shirt, and everyone was like,
It's an
not a very
ugly
good t-shirt.
t-shirt.
Yeah, and she gets home and she's like, "Oh, sick t-shirt." And they're like, "Oh, you have bad fashion sense, actually."
It's a
And she's
limited
like,
edition.
"Whoa."
Dodger, it's limited edition. I mean, come on. It's limited to
love
Osaka.
it.
I did love that part where they're like, "Oh, I can taste the Osaka in this," and they're like, "No, you just know it's
No,
from
you
Osaka."
can't. Yeah. Oh, that was so
I
funny.
love her.
That was also when they did the frickin' goof off of like every other manga that has a parent that's passed away.
Yeah.
Where they were like, "Oh, I suppose dad isn't with us, is he?" And they're like, "Yeah, because he's at work."
The way that the like panels for that was done really drove that joke home because they
the like
were,
over the shoulder
yeah.
looking out the window.
and then literally you get the moment of, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this deep thing to have happened, and the next page they're like, yeah, he's at work, and you're like, what? For a moment you don't really believe he's at work, you still think he's dead.
Seriously,
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, are they about to reveal that like one of the sisters is in deep denial? And then a couple chapters later, he's just at the breakfast table, and you're like, oh,
No.
okay.
Fluffy Billy Goat
Oh my
says
God.
the part where Ozma goes around with the water gun. Favorite
Yes,
chapter.
love that
That
chapter.
was my favorite. Oh,
So good.
everybody
She
just
died getting
commits to
revenge.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. She died. Everybody commits to it without even questioning it, really. Like, Anna, like, when it happens, she's like, wait, what's happening? Oh, okay. And then she kills her bear, too.
I don't kill women and children. You just did. That was my favorite part of the whole chapter.
And the way that it ended was also super great with
Yeah.
the sister. It was perfect.
Mhm. Just literally just dumps all of the water out of it.
And you're
on
just like,
her.
no!
I died. Is anybody hungry? Me, I'm hungry. Oh, you're alive. I love it.
Oh my gosh, Oh, and then she pulls the water gun on the police officer.
Yes. I forgot about that, and then gives her a flower instead. I was like, Yotsuba, no.
Oh my gosh, my heart when she was walking around trying to figure out who to give all the flowers to. And then she just stood next to the guy passing out like Kleenexes.
Flyers.
And she's just like,
Yeah.
flyers. Yeah, she's like, flower. It's like, stop it, you're precious.
I thought it was really sweet the way that chapter ended too, because it was like the holiday there where it's believed that your dead grandparents like come back, and she goes to the park and sees an old lady on the bench and is like, "Are you dead?" The old lady's like, "What?" But it wound up being like really sweet. I think
Yeah.
that's like the magic of Yotsubato, right? Is that situations that should be like, "Oh my God, Yotsuba, no, don't do that," always wind up being really sweet. Like you smile every time in the end, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the fishing chapter And that, like, Jumbo is like, this poor child needs to have memories. And then he's the friend, the little girlfriend. And so they go, yeah. And so then they go in fishing, and it's just this super pure, wholesome. And then the twist is like, oh, no, her dad works all summer, so she gets a week off in the fall to go to Hawaii.
Right.
It's just, Jumbo is so betrayed. That's something I love.
I feel so bad for him.
He was just like, how dare you? I like that Jumbo is just kind of like there. Like,
yeah.
Who is he? What is his explanation? It doesn't matter.
That basically lives in their house.
Yeah. And he's good. He's a good guy.
He is. He works at a flower shop, and he just wants to make everybody happy and have fun.
And then if he's scorned,
and he's huge.
And he's huge. And then if he's scorned, he just gives people shit for life.
Oh my god, when he got really upset with Yotsuba, like goofily upset with Yotsuba, and then like hit her across the room and was like, oh. He was like, I'll take it. You can do whatever you want. Literally whatever you want. What do you want? What do you want? She's just like,
isn't he the one that throws her in the pool?
Yes.
Yeah. He's the one that just gets so mad that she floats, and he just like, shoop. And then the lifeguard
is like, don't throw children, it's dangerous.
And then she climbs up the lifeguard tower and then jumps from it.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so, every chapter is so wholesome.
Yeah. I love it.
I loved this manga so much. Gosh.
It's so sweet.
Very surprised by how much I loved it.
I'm wondering, I just like look forward to finding out what adventures they get into next. Like what Yotsuba does next.
And every chapter definitely isn't like a direct one-off, right? Like Lou was saying, things carry over. Which makes me think like that doing that in small ways in the beginning chapters makes me think that as we get into the later chapters, it'll be like bigger things, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I agree. I did thoroughly enjoy the chapter where they're trying to, like, this is something about Yotsuba where you're like, as I'm going to say this, it's going to be like, that sounds really boring. But then when you're reading it, you're just like, this is so engaging. I'm so into this story. The part where they're like, they wake up, her and her dad, they're going, all right, what should we do for dinner? And Yotsuba's like, something super delicious. And he's like, I can't make something super delicious. And she goes, adequately delicious or something like that.
Yes.
And so they decide to make hamburgers. And so they're going. And then the whole chapter is literally them like getting the ingredients, which is super wholesome. And they run into Fuka, and she has to pay for their groceries because he forgot his wallet. And then they have this like long 2-page discussion about what kind of curry is the best curry and how seafood is going to ruin curry. And so it's just this like, they're talking about fucking making supper. And I was so happy the whole time I was reading it. It's like so cute.
It's ridiculous and it's great. How about them going to or them playing with fireworks? Like
that was cute.
Yeah.
Them lighting the fireworks on the sister's friend's car.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, and then Yotsuba goes, "It's fine. It's made of iron." I love those moments too, where everybody's like, "Why do you know that?" Yeah. Or like the dad, she'll say words all the time, and he's like, "Why do you know that word?" I love that so much.
I like the part where she finds her friend, the biggest sister's friend, smoking. And she's like, my dad used to smoke. Just shit like that.
That was when he was a bad
guy. Are you bad guy?
Yeah. She's like, no, it makes me look cool. And she's like, you're cool. Like, she just goes along with it. I think the first time we saw that sort of like, sure, okay, was with the air conditioning, one of the very first chapters, right? Yes. Where it was like, oh, I don't really turn it on because of global warming. What? How it just like ruined her. And then the older sister goes, no, it can't be contributing to global warming because feel how cold it's making the room. She's like, Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is such like that age group logic. Like it's
Yeah.
like perfect. It adequately describes the going of like it's all or nothing. Like their world is just changing so much and they're just learning and take things at face value or do this and that. And so that's just like a perfect description of her age doing something or just a clear cut like black or white thing. Like the whole part where I can't remember what it was, but somebody said that her dad was a bad guy for like lying or doing something. And so she's like, Daddy, you're a bad guy. And he's like, what? No, what are you talking about? Then she
I think
later
it was that
like,
same
wait,
chapter.
Was it that one?
I think
because
so,
Daddy
because
lied.
she
Daddy
comes
lied.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes
Because
home
they
and
have
he's got
air
the
conditioning
AC
in the
up.
new ones.
And she's like, you're a bad guy. And he leaves. And she leaves and he's like, I...
So
and then after
so
she learns, she goes back to like, you're not a bad guy. He's just like, what?
So one thing that I love about this manga, it's how they go about translating how she speaks and how she has the childish pronunciation for different words.
Yeah.
And again, that adds to like that very realistic feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering how they convey it in the Japanese. So like I know that if you read the notes for one of the translations, his job or the dad's job is that he's a translator,
Right.
but it's some in the translation it's a trash separator, right? That's the translation that they did for the localization, but the actual joke of it is that he makes pudding, like that's what Yotsuba thinks he does.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's the pun. But the thing is, it works well in English, like how they went about adapting it.
Yeah.
I would like to read the official because I'll be honest, I read a scanlation, like an older translation.
Yeah.
I would love to see how it was translated in the licensed version.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of moments where in the scanlation they just kind of said, well, this joke works better in Japanese, so I'm just not going to translate it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I
they did that in the licensed version.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that same way. The same way too. The episode, the chapter of like after he goes, I haven't slept very much, so I'm gonna sleep now. And he's like, you just
do whatever you want.
And she ends up like going from doodling on a cardboard to being like, I'm gonna draw Daddy, drawing him and then being like giving him facial hair and be like, but Daddy doesn't have facial hair. So then she draws the facial hair on him and is like, Daddy's gonna be mad, and just escalates to her eventually trying to like get it off with mayonnaise, and he's sleeping the whole time.
Well,
that was
it's not that
so
she has the idea. She goes to the neighbors and asks,
That's right.
what did we do?
Oh, I saw that on TV. You use mayonnaise. And then she leaves and she's like, yeah, remember the thing we were watching? And they said mayonnaise. And the other sister's like, butter. You use butter. And then it just cuts to her with mayonnaise all over her dad's face. Like, it's not working.
And then she just falls asleep next to him.
It's so good. What about art? How about you guys' thoughts on the art?
It really suits this kind of a story, I think. It feels very, very simple and sweet, and the art is the exact same tone as the story.
Yeah. And it's so clean and well done too. It's not like messy or anything. It's just so cute. You can understand clearly, even though the characters are so like kawaii and cutesy, they're still, I'm trying to think. It's not like just a straightforward same panel every single time. Like they do a really good job with action and displaying how a scene is moving and how it's fitting the jokes and stuff. Which I think is really important, even if it is just like a sweet little slice of life. I think it's still important to be able to display action and the movement of a scene. And I think the art definitely does that and fully engages and like gives you the atmosphere of like where they are. And like even the houses are distinct. So you know if you're at like the neighbor's house or if you're at Yotsuba's house, like you know where you're at. And so I think that's something, I remember Azumanga Daioh kind of doing that same thing where it was like you're very easy, like you're following along with the joke because the art is so clear and specific for that. And so I think it fits it perfectly. It's exact art that this kind of manga needs.
What I think is probably, and I agree with what you guys said, but what I think really makes or speaks for how good this art is this manga came out in 2003, and you couldn't tell by looking at it because its style is so distinct and not necessarily locked down to a specific time period. So it feels like you're reading something that could be published today. Like there's nothing exactly anchoring it to the early 2000s, which is why like this manga doesn't have an anime adaptation, and I feel like 2020 would be a good year to do that.
Yeah.
Roger, you're muted.
I know. I was just chatting. I was like, dude, you muted.
Wink, wink is what I said.
Yes.
I was like, oh, she meant to do that. And then you started laughing and like paying attention. I was like, I don't think she did. But Lou, what you're saying about how it doesn't feel dated, it definitely feels like it could be something relevant today. Like the jokes aren't like dated, like anything like that. It doesn't feel like it came out that long ago. Like it definitely feels like something that somebody could read today and be like, oh, it was published recently too. And so I think, I agree with that a lot. I didn't think about that before. The mangaka doesn't want an anime adaptation for it. He refuses.
I know, I was looking at that.
Interesting.
That's depressing. I'm so fucking sad.
I wonder why.
At least there are several volumes left for me to read. So I'll take that.
I am curious about why that. Wonder why. Because Azumanga Daioh got an anime adaptation.
Yeah, and it did very well.
Yeah. So maybe something happened with it that he wasn't happy, and so... But Yotsuba is so pure. It's so pure.
So pure.
Let's see. Do you guys have anything else you would like to bring up? Touch on? What do you guys think of the mom? The neighbor mom?
I love her.
She's a good mom.
She's a good mom.
She's a very believable, like, middle-aged mom, I think.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like an older woman, really. But she has like all of the characters, to Aaron's point, are written so well, like age-wise. Because I don't know, she just has this like warm, cozy feeling to her, but they didn't need to make her look like an old lady to do that, you know? So I appreciated that.
And then there's times where she definitely like is like sarcastic or just kind of like the part where she sends them to get cake because she wants cake.
Yes.
And she's like, you guys should go buy yourself some cake. By the way, I would like the one that's strawberry from this store. And so you're just like, I'm like, oh, I feel that. I understand that. She feels like a seasoned mom. A mom of 3 girls. Yeah.
For sure.
The one time she felt maybe out of her age range was when her oldest daughter stole her strawberry.
Yeah. And she was like, what?
Though, I know that feeling. Where it's like, did you just take the last bite of my cookie?
Right. It's fine, I guess.
It's okay. I love you. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on?
I don't think so. No. It would just be reiterating the same shit, which is, God, this is a wholesome, great manga with sweet characters, and man, I love it.
They're talking... People in chat are saying Yonda. Did we get to Yonda?
No.
I don't.
No,
so.
We didn't get to. None of us recognize that name. Because I was just like,
we got up to chapter 27, so that's the first 4 volumes.
Yeah. It ended pretty close to after the fishing trip. It was pretty close to the end.
So no spoilers, please, past what we read. Because we all definitely want to read more.
So, apparently Yonda is real good. So we definitely, I think... We'll definitely read more. So let's round up and give our final thoughts and ratings. Would anybody like to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
So we've been really positive about this manga, and honestly, I really don't have any negatives I can point to. I really enjoyed the story that was being told. All the shenanigans that Yotsuba manages to involve herself with are extremely entertaining. I genuinely enjoy this manga, and I look forward to reading more. Art is great, characters are great, all the goofs are landed, and I laughed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a 10 for me. I really like this manga, and I want to read more of it.
Yeah.
It's like definitely top tier in terms of like slice of life manga.
That's what I was going to say. It's a 10 for me too, because when I think of the genre of slice of life and humor and put it together, like this is the epitome. I feel like it nails everything that like checkpoint for those kind of like stellar manga in within that genre. And I think even without it, like it's just a very solid story. Like the characters are great. They're also believable. The humor, even though it's like a slice of life one-off, it never feels repetitive. And so I think it's just the art fits it great. I think it's a 10 out of 10 for me, for sure. It made me so happy, and I just want to read all of it, and I could totally see myself rereading it and giving it to like other people to read, like giving it to Kaylee and have her reading it too. So
for sure.
It does good. It's great.
Yeah, I was also going to give it a 10. I think it's wonderful. I also can't think of any like big flaws I have with it at all. I just loved it. And I would definitely read more of it. So yeah, if you want something sweet in your life, read Yotsuba.
Yeah.
So good.
Nothing real problematic in it either. Like it's at all, which is very, especially for something coming out at like the time it did, it just doesn't have that at all, which I think contributes to it not feeling as dated either. So
the closest thing to something problematic in the manga was Jumbo picking on Miura.
Yeah.
That would be
Forgot
the
about that
close,
part.
but like that's only a couple panels, and even then, like it's like it comes off like harmless teasing, even though it is problematic. But like it came out 16 years ago, so I'm not gonna like deduct any points for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that wraps up our discussion on Yotsuba 2. So we are going to read. It's great. It's awesome. If you've been here this long, we think it's absolutely awesome. So you should go check it out. So we're going to read the description for the manga that we are reading next week. And everybody in chat gets to guess what it is. Lou's doing it this week.
Some words are going to be.
There's going to be bleeps. Not because
there are going to be a few.
Not because they're bad words, because we're tricking you.
I guess Devil Hunters, the best for making money, proclaims chronically broke blank, a devil hunter for hire, with his trusty blank and blank dog. Blank vies to make it to his next meal. However, nothing is as it seems, and things never go as planned. That's it.
Yeah. Honestly, if you've read it before, that's enough.
Yeah. Thanks. Chainsaw Man. That is what we are reading next week. Sorry, Luco.
I was going to say, we're going to be reading volumes 1 through 3, chapters 1 through 21. And for those of you that are subscribed to the Viz app, it is available to read on there.
It's on there. Yeah.
That's how I read it.
I hear it's good. Bye. Oh. Bye. So that is what we are going to be reading next week. Let's go around and shout out our stuff real quick. I'm Erin at Happily Erin. I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/happily Erin. It's pretty inactive. But I have a bunch of anime reviews, first impressions, mental health awareness stuff. MangaPods are over there. I'm currently working on a book. I'm on the 3rd rewrite. It's what I've been working on. I'm going to be posting an update to the Indiegogo and the website soon, so you guys can kind of keep track about where it's at. If you want to come follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm very active over there. Happily Aaron all across the everything. So that's me.
I'm Dodger. You can find me at Dex Bonus on everything. I stream 6 days a week. I do variety gaming, so I'll play whatever. And that's basically it. So if you want to come back, hang out, next time that I stream will be tomorrow morning. So I'd love to see you there.
My name's Lou, and I have a YouTube channel called Lou Talks Anime, and it's been a while since I've posted anything on there. And I also have another podcast that I do called The Anime Hour, and it's been a while since I've posted anything on there. But it's okay. I go on Twitter. You can talk to me there, and that's just at Lou Talks Anime. And I promise at some point when I'm like not transitioning between careers, I will start posting content again.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us in this MangaPod. We really appreciate it. If you want to check out our subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod, you can go ahead and do that over there. Do you guys have anything else we need to shout out, do, or say?
No,
I don't think so.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We will be back next week, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time here on twitch.tv/DexBonus, talking Chainsaw Man, chapters 1 through 21, volumes 1 through 3. So we will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 I have to burp, but it's stuck in my throat.